Hello, everyone. My name is Diana de la Cruz Aparicio. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am a retention specialist at the Academic Advancement Center, and I also coordinate the STEM Thrive and Thrive Grad program in our office. And today we have a special guest from a campus resource that we want to get you all connected. So I'm going to go ahead and let George introduce himself.
Appreciate it so much in your time, and also want to appreciate the ACC department as well, and you, Dan, for letting us, the Canvas and Canvas family, attend this webinar for you guys and giving out this affordable life information. We know that being in college is a stressful thing when it comes to money and really trying to tie your head around money, and also when you even graduate, tying your head around the money. So I hope, myself and the Canvas family can really help you, afford life and guide you through simple tools and resources that you guys can really use throughout your college experience and when you leave college as well. Well, like I said, my name is George Hill. I'm the Director of Financial Education for Canvas Credit Union. I'm also a CSU alumni, go Rams. I graduated in 2007. Woo! Long time ago. Long time. But proud Ram alumni, love it. I'm also, so super stoked to be a part of the Canvas family as well, and having this relationship with CSU makes it even better for us to grow as well. So to jump into this presentation for you, Afford Life, I'm just going to give you guys a little agenda of what we'll pretty much be talking about here. Benefits around budgeting and savings, little tips of how we can really look into and how it will benefit us as well. I'll also go into credit scores and what things you should just look into to really help understand your credit picture, and how to obtain a copy of your credit score. Huge, you get a free credit report free every year. So I'll show ways where you can dive in to grab that information. Factors that go into your credit score, certain things, when you're looking for an auto loan or purchasing a house, what creditors are looking for. I'll give you some breakdowns around exactly what they're looking into, and little tips and tricks that can help you improve your credit. One big thing I tell a lot of students is, if you've ever been on a roller coaster, that's exactly what a credit score is. It goes up and down, up and down. It just everywhere. So that's the best way to think about your credit score. It's like riding a roller coaster. You don't know if you're doing good, bad, here and there, but I'll give you guys some tips and tricks around really how to improve that for you. So a little bit about George Hill. I'm originally from Southern California. I got 3 children. Today is my son's birthday. He just turned 4. He made it. Woo! I got my lovely wife. She's from Greeley, Colorado. Bless her heart. And then my middle child there is Zipporah, and our oldest, we have a 16-year-old that's a sophomore in high school. And the online schooling is an interesting thing right now, but hey, we're all doing it, right? We all will make it. Like I've been telling them, we all will make it somehow. But that's a little bit about George there. To jump into the conversation here, I always love to start with a quote from Bob. They say money talks, but mind just weighs. And you'll start to see that as you grow and build your own wealth, that money weighs all the time. There's more bills in the world than you see than your income. It's pretty interesting the amount of money you make, and it's like a bill after a bill. But you got to have fun with it. You got to really laugh at certain things when it comes to your financial picture, because it's all about your personal financial picture. Why do you need a budget? I hear a lot from students, I have, apps here, apps there. The biggest thing is a budget for you. What's going to be a comfortable budget system that works for you, because everyone's financial picture is different. So, nearly 70% of consumers report that live paycheck to paycheck. 55% of Americans sometimes feel stressed about money. And almost about 68% of Americans don't have enough to cover an emergency expense. So when you think about what we're going through right now, that pandemic, how many of us have had funds set aside for job loss? Huge thing when you're budgeting yourself out when things occur like this. There's always going to be a obstacle when it comes to financial, pictures. Creating a habit, when I say why you need to create a budget, it's like going to the gym, it's exercising that muscle. So if you can find something that really helps you, you're going to just create that habit as you go. Benefits around budgeting. It gives you a sense of control. You know exactly where your money is going, how much is coming in, who's paying who, where it's all at. That's the biggest thing about budgeting, because by the end of the day, you want to make sure if something was to happen, you're covered based off of your budgeting, whatever's working for you. It also helps you really understand who you are as a spender or a saver. You know, I love also teaching our money personality class where we really dive into how you are as a spender. What is your money personality? A budget will really help you to see exactly what you're wasting your money on. The biggest thing a budget can really do is help communicate. When you are in a relationship, you know, the biggest conflict in relationships is money. You know, you have two people that come in that come from different worlds. Someone probably grew up without money. Someone probably grew up with money. Someone's a big saver, someone's not. And you guys come together and there's conflict. If you can work on that communication piece now of having a conversation around, this is what I have, this is what I'm bringing to the table. It's going to help you grow with your own personal money situation. You know, that's the biggest thing I would recommend, is really talking about your funds. Yeah, it's uncomfortable talking about your financial picture, but if you can start early, it's going to help you down the long run. 5 steps of budgeting. I'm going to take a little time here, really giving you a little bit of information on each step. Simple tools here is really determining your income. You know, you want to stay in your lane. Being from Southern California, I'm so used to 7 different lanes. You know, there's 3 fast lanes and there's like four slow lanes. And I always use that as, you know, saying in the financial world, really determine where you are in your lane. You know, check that blind spot. If you can't go into the high spending lane, don't do it. Stay in your lane, you know. Calculate your expense. When I say calculate your expense, you know, we're in a digital world now. You can get an app and say, hey, I bought this at Lucky Joe's last night. It will calculate everything for you. You know, really, if you can get into that habit of calculating what you're spending on, it's only going to help you exercise that habit as well. Third, creating that budget. It's creating a budget that's going to help you. I'm going to go back to the digital world. All of us probably have a cell phone. There's apps that can create a budget for you as you go. Most of us have financial institutions that can create a budget for you. You know, you have a Canvas branch at the CSU Laurie Student Center that have wonderful bankers there that can help you create a budget as well as you're a student. That's free information you can take advantage of. The last 2, 4 and 5, balance and analyzing, are huge, and reviewing and managing, because you want to make sure that your budget is working for you. You know, you're calculating your expenses is working for you. You know, like, is everything flowing for you? Because if it's not, then we need to make changes as we go. Step 1, like I said, determining, you know, big key things is, if you know that you need more money, you got to really look at certain things that's coming in. You know, I know everyone has a birthday. Are we spending that birthday money on Old Town? Or are we buying gifts, new iPhones, or are we putting that money to the side? You know, things like that. Holiday bonuses, you know, if you're getting a bonus, are you putting that money to the side? Or are you spending it? You know, everyone gets a tax refund if you're working, you know, things like that. Thinking differently instead of spending, and always having a plan for what extra funds are coming in. Step 2, that calculating those expense, is always knowing what bills are coming in. You should already know how much your bills are going to be for that month. You know, it's about being one step ahead. If you already know your cell phone bill is this every month, you should already calculate that into your expense. Like, it's out. It's already a $100 bill gone. So if you can get into a habit of already knowing what each month of your bills are going to look like and calculating those, is going to help you down the long run, because we all know bills change each month. Those numbers change each month. So really calculating those expenses, putting a plan together. I'm gonna spend a little time on here when I create a budget. I put students together because I know a lot of us are either living on campus or have roommates or want to live alone. So when I dive into Fort Collins, Colorado, you know, let's be honest, it's expensive to live in a college town. So when I took the state apartments, beautiful apartments, you know, if you want to live on your own or live with a roommate, you're going to have to create a budget to really understand your picture here. You know, none of us are getting that, let's say, 6-figure job while we're in school. Wish we could, you know, that would be great. But if we were to really look at the normal here, if someone, you know, if a student was bringing in, you know, $1,200 a month, these are the calculations you guys are going to really look at and, you know, have to understand when you're, you know, want to live on your own or live with a roommate. You know, I know saving $100 isn't a lot, but if you're exercising that muscle by the end of the day, by the end of the month, you're only creating that habit. So, looking into this sheet that I created here, it really just gives you a good understanding of, wow, because some of us might have more bills than what I have here to the left column. There's might be more. Your spring break might be $400 instead of $100. So it's just things like that you really want to take in consideration before you jump into just buying things. Really calculate that expense, create a budget so you can see it before you just be under budget. You don't want to be under that $432 market. No, that's an uncomfortable situation. But taking a look at this and just really understanding, okay, I got a budget here, creating, what works for you. That's the biggest thing. Step 4, balancing. You want to make sure that your budget works for you, right? Like I said, monthly expenses change as they go. If you have a roommate and your roommate's leaving, that's a change in your budget now. Like, are you going to get a new roommate, or you guys are just gonna stay by yourself now? So that's your expenses are changing. So you got to want to analyze each month. Each month you're going to want to review your expenses, what's coming in, what's going out, just so you're in the know to give you that peace of mind. And that's step 5, reviewing everything, making sure that this is flowing for me. It's making sense for me. If I need to make changes as I go, make them. You just don't want to make it too late. You don't want to be like, oh man, how did I miss that bill? And that adds up, because when you start missing payments, it starts affecting your credit side, so it's a balance. Finance is balancing yourself, as you go. So if you can just sit back, take an extra time of creating a budget, reviewing it, plugging it in. We have tools nowadays that keep things very simple for us. So we're able to just plug it in real fast and we're able to go on with our day. Tracking our spending. You probably hear this a lot. And, I always say pen and piece of paper is very powerful, extremely powerful nowadays. Your smartphone, we are in a digital world. A spreadsheet, if you are good on an Excel sheet, take advantage of it, but pen and piece of paper, because it's only going to exercise that muscle memory. Instead of you thinking about, 3 to 6 months, try something simple. Try a week, try a couple days. Don't stretch it too big, because that's a big number when you say 3 to 6 months. It's huge. Take your time, but a power of a pen and paper is huge. It's only going to better your muscle memory. Trust me. How many of us are savings challenged? I know I am. It's a process, and when you read this here, it hurts, because, we're not taught at a young age to really put money to the side, or how do we put money aside, or what's that number? I hear a lot from, young students is, what should I put away? And the question you got to ask yourself is, what are you comfortable putting away? If you're comfortable putting away $5, you're starting. If you're comfortable putting $20, you're starting something. That's the biggest thing. I always bring this joke up. I don't think it's a joke, but I laugh about it because my wife always calls me out because I'm a huge coffee drinker. And I spent about $237 in a week at Starbucks on coffee. Mind blowing, right? Where if I was to take $4 of that and save and save it, right? $4 a day, that's $7,300 after 5 years. So if you think about that, like, that's simple stuff, just simple math. So it's really had to call myself out. It's calling yourself out. So where I'm going with this is like simple things. If I was to say $4 a day, I could have way more than just any Starbucks. That's where I'm looking at it. The small things. I know $2 isn't a lot, George, but it's really just exercising that muscle, starting simple and what's really comfortable for you. Because, it's saving money. It's hard. There's more bills you're spending on than saving. It's a huge thing, but starting simple.
George, I have a question for you on
Absolutely.
saving, and the last slide that you had, can you go back to it? You talked about powerful tools. Is there any tool that you've heard a lot of students use or that you would recommend? I've heard of folks using Mint to track their
Yep.
expenses on um, like on a pie chart, like 30% of this month you spent on groceries or entertainment. Like, are there other,
So
yeah.
there's Mint. There's Nerd Wallet, and what I love about Nerd Wallet as well, Canvas is also trying to build a relationship with Nerd Wallet, but Nerd Wallet really dumbifies it. That's the best way to put it. Really dumbsifies it for you, where it's like, oh, if I plug this in, it's going to track it for me like this. If I plug my income in, it's going to actually tell me exactly how much I should be saving based off of my income.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the institutions that you guys might have, I don't know what banks that a lot of the students go to, but they have tracking for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Account, right? A lot of folks,
absolutely,
yeah. So
absolutely.
I didn't know that the banks have that. So I would recommend for folks who are watching this Cliff presentation to check out your account information and see if there's a way to track like your monthly spending by
Yep,
percentage, and it'll break down like education, entertainment,
yep.
things like that. So it's a good visual to see where a
Hmm.
lot of your monthly like spending is
Right.
going. Cool.
It'll
Thanks,
be
George.
great, especially because it's your finance. Now you're looking at your financial picture. You don't really have to go and ask someone. It's like, oh, I already have my bank app here. Oh, it's telling me. Yeah. So it's just giving you that peace of mind and taking advantage of those resources.
Thanks, George.
Yeah. And the lovely question I'm always asked, how much should I save? That number 3 to 6 months is very overwhelming. How I look at it, being a college student, is try saving your next month's rent. Like, think about that. That's you got to pay that next month, right? Just save that, or start simple, $1,000, but have a why around it. Like, why are you saving that? Are you saving it for another pandemic? I hate to say that, but it's crazy how that happened. And the financial picture to people that affected a lot of people. That pandemic affected a lot of people. So am I saving for another one of the COVIDs that are going to happen? Or am I saving for if I lose my job? Or am I saving for just to have money there? So if a disaster happens, I have the peace of mind, like, okay, I can afford 3 to 6 months now. Just doing simple things. That's the biggest thing I recommend, just based off of this pandemic that happened, is what am I doing to not be in that same scenario if this was to happen again? Because things happen. I'm not saying that this is going to happen again. I'm 100% sure this is all going to go over, but there's always a but. Because something's always going to occur in your life. It can be anything, but if you can start simple, start small, like I said, building your own personal wealth, just giving you that peace of mind. 3 to 6 months, it's very overwhelming. Just try a couple days, try a week, start small. As I transition into credit scores, the biggest thing around credit scores is don't get too locked into the score picture. You can have an 800 credit score. That doesn't really mean a lot to the credit bureaus. I'll be honest with you. I've seen a lot of my clients that's had 850s, 815s, and they've been declined too, because the biggest thing that you need to understand about your credit is your history, and are you paying things on time? That's the best of information I can give you, is how are you building your credit history, and are you making sure while you're building it, is everything being paid on time? I hear a lot of questions from students, should I pay balances off? Should I pay them off and close things? That's really up to you. But to give you, by my experience, is have the creditors force you to close things, okay? Like if you're buying a mortgage, if you're buying a house and a creditor sees, here's this loan that you have here with $1,000 on it, if we can just pay that off, it's just going to boost your credit up. Let the creditors tell you that, because like I said, that roller coaster effect, you can pay off a balance and your score can drop just because you pay that off. And there's no explanation around it of why, because, in our world, it's like pay things off. And I get back to you got to balance yourself in finances. You know, you want to keep a little balance, pay this off. You know, you want to really just balance yourself. So when I dive into this, I'm going to show you really what creditors look at and how you diversify your credit. You know, that's the best way for me to put it for you. You know, important things that you really want to dive into is insurance company. You know, a lot of people, a lot of younger generation don't know that insurance companies dive into your credit history to really determine how much they should charge you each month. Crazy, right? Like you would never think that. So pay your things on time. Show the insurance company that, hey, I pay my things on time. I got a good credit record, you know, like I got a good driving record and things like that. That's huge as well for you to get a better rate on your car insurance. When you are searching for a home, landlords have the right to look into your credit history because they want to make sure that you're paying your rent on time. You know, that's the biggest thing, you know, especially if being in a college town, you know, a landlord is actually, they're risking a lot when having college students, you know, like they know, you know, that college students don't make that much money, but they got to look in a little bit deeper behind the scenes to see, well, if this college student is actually, they actually can pay things on time. Utility companies, you know, cell phone companies, like cable companies, they all look into your credit report. They do like a soft pull to see if you owe them any money. You know, if you were delinquent on a payment with them because you moved somewhere and didn't pay. So things like that, little small things that, you know, a lot of people don't know is like, wow, utilities company, a cell phone, like who would have thought Verizon would pull my credit to give me a cell phone? You know, things like that, or my landlord. Just really taking consideration when you're looking into these things, you know, what's going to best be the best interest for you. The biggest piece, like I said, what affects, you know, this is how you diversify your credit here and what creditors look into. So you're always going to hear that your debt staying below 30%. And, you know, that's where you want to be below. I always tell people just spend what you can afford. You know, that's the biggest thing. Spend also what you can pay back, you know, but the biggest number you see here is that payment history. That's exactly what creditors are looking at. Like, how often are you making those payments on time? Not how often you're paying the balance off. You know, because, yeah, you want to pay your monthly balance off on a credit card. If that's what you're using all the time, yes, you want that because, yeah, you want the creditors to show like, wow, you can put a $5,000 balance on your credit card and pay it off each month. It shows responsibility. It also shows that they can up your credit limit down the road just off of your responsibility, you know? So things like that, your payment history has to be the most consistent part. You know, I've seen my wife, you know, got a ding on her credit report because she missed a $25 credit card payment when she was a student at CSU. And that affected her still to today. And it's wild, just a $25 credit card late payment, you know. And I know some of us came across late payments before, but it's those simple things. If you can only afford the minimum payment, pay the minimum payment because by the end of the day, it still shows you made that payment on time. The variety of counts, you know, it's what I tell college kids is, you know, you don't want to go out there and just apply. You know, I would recommend applying for a gas card because that's all you can afford, or that's all you can use it on is just gas, you know, for your vehicle. Simple to pay that off each month. But the variety of accounts is, you know, if you have 3 different credit cards, a loan, student loan, you know, things like that, and you're making those payments on time, you know, variety of accounts. That's what they look at too. How many accounts do you have open? You know, the new credit, that's one thing you really want to really dive into. You know, you only want to apply for new credit when you need it. You know, that's the biggest thing. You don't want to keep applying for credit card because, you know, on the picture on that Capital One credit card looks nice. That's why I want it. It's nope, because the more times you have inquiries on your credit score, puts a bad picture of you because all it shows is that you're searching for lending. You're searching for lending, and creditors are just like, why are you searching for so much lending? You know, so you really want to be patient on looking for new credit. Hard credit, you know, it's how long has this credit card's been open? You know, that's where I go back to let the creditors close a card for you or close out that loan. If there's a credit card that has a zero balance on there and you're not using it at all, just keep it open because it's actually helping you. It shows that this account has been open for so long with a credit limit on there. Yeah, you don't use it, but hey, if you have a $12,000 credit limit on there, that's actually helping you because the creditors see, wow, this person has available credit still. It shows a positive of a big balance. So that's where I'm saying you got to really diversify your credit, your financial picture when it comes to credit, because the score, it really doesn't show anything. It really does, like I said, it's cool to have an 800 credit score, but by my experience and just seeing what creditors look at, I've seen a lot of clients and members, get denied off of a high credit score because of their payment history wasn't good. Their debt to ratio is a little too high. Like you might have an 800 credit score, but why is your debt at 45%? So it's things like that you got to really understand when you're looking at your credit. How to improve: pay your bills, pay your bills, pay your bills on time. I wish I had a recorder. That's the only way you're gonna really improve your credit score is pay your bills. Also, making sure things are accurate. I love telling this scenario or this story. I'm a junior. My dad, used my social security number and pulled a lot of credit when I was a young kid because, it's pretty easy to, when you have the same number or the same name, it's pretty easy for a family member like that to do things like that. You would never know that a family member would take something like that from you. So when I say make sure your report is accurate, there's places that you can go, like on your credit cards, that will give you a credit report. Credit Karma is good, but another thing you got to understand is that you're giving them personal information on a third-party site. So that's another thing you got to understand. Like if you're comfortable with Credit Karma, hey, they're going to give you some information. And I would say that Credit Karma is good because it gives you a simple understanding around, what your credit is really doing right now, what it really looks like. Okay, so it really breaks things down. I highly recommend going to the annual credit report. I have a link for you. I'll show you guys because it gives you the full real credit report from all three credit bureaus. And you get that free every year. That's huge. And it will break everything down where if even you have questions and you need to call someone, it will give you information and a contact number who to call based off of, this credit card here doesn't look like me. So you'll be able to really get information off of that. Another one, when we go into borrowing things, how credit affects you. I love using the vehicle because, everyone loves buying cars. And when you look at these two students here, they both want to buy a $25,000 car, same 60-month term. And the reason why the rates are different is because of the scores, just 100 points different. It's crazy how that's student A probably missed one payment and it dropped them there, or they applied for 2 different car loans and it dropped them there. So it's things like that where you really want to balance yourself. You really want to understand what you're going into, because by the end of the day, student A is going to be paying out way more money and they bought the same car. That's just mind blowing. So your credit plays a big role when you're looking into any lending products. If you're looking into buying a home, your credit plays a big role. So highly recommend diving into your credit, your personal credit. If you have any questions, calling that, the annualcreditreport.com numbers. They give you all of that information for free. And I get it. The hardest part is taking that extra step. I get it as a younger generation. We don't want to take that extra step, but if it's important to you, you would, So if it's important to you to get a $25,000 car at a 3.4% rate, I would make sure my credit is pretty good as I go into buying a car. Some credit score misconceptions that we all hear. I love hearing these. I love hearing these because I say it's funny because, we're not taught the real stuff. We're always just like, oh, go do this, go do that, and not really understanding how it's affecting you, because your credit goes with you forever. You know, that's the biggest thing. Wherever you go, you file for bankruptcy, that goes with you. So you really want to take the time into establishing a good credit foundation, you know. So when you're checking your credit score, when someone says, oh, check your credit score, it doesn't affect you when you check it. You know, there's only two things that affect your credit score, and, you know, inquiries. You're applying for a credit card, you're applying for a student loan, you're applying for an auto loan. You know, hard pulls is what you're going to hear is credit card, student loan, auto loan. You know, they're doing a hard pull on your credit score. And what really goes into that is they're really diving in to see, are you below that 30%? Where's your income? Oh, do you pay things on time? So they're pulling all kinds of information. A soft pull for you is like a Credit Karma. They're going to pick certain things to give you a little bit of information here, you know, or cell phone industry, utility companies are doing a soft pull to see if you owe them any money or anything like that, you know. When we look at carrying a balance on your credit card, you know, I call it a hate-love relationship because, you know, you want to balance, but then you want to pay it off. You know, it's things like that. But when you hear carrying a balance, most members or most clients carry big balances, for example, on a credit card while they're using a different credit card. That's where the part where you don't want to do, where you're carrying balances over and over. You know, you want to pay that big balances off if you're going to be using a different card, right? So it's when you're carrying a balance, make sure it's one balance that you're carrying to pay off. And then definitely staying below that 30%. Closing accounts. You know, the biggest thing is let the creditors do that for you, because if you close accounts, you know, that can affect your score, because the biggest thing you want is the history. So if you bring it to a zero balance, remember when you opened up that account, you probably opened it up in 2015, it's 2020, you haven't used it for 5 years, but it still shows a good open standing for you. And creditors see like, oh, wow, okay, they still got a good credit history on this card or this loan here. So let the creditors close that out for you. Charge-offs or anything in delinquent that is reporting, it will be removed after a while, you know, but it's still going to show on there. It's the creditors are going to be able to see that stuff forever. You know, you'll be able to, when they say, you know, bankruptcy stays on your credit report for this amount of time, yeah, but there's ways creditors can find out, like, oh, wow, you had a bankruptcy 12 years ago. Like, they're going to ask questions to see. Oh, you were delinquent here. Like, they're going to ask questions because by the end of the day, they got to make sure that it's going to be the right fit for you and that financial institution if we're going to lend you this money based off of your report. So it's just things like that. If you're paying delinquents off, removing things off as well, that they're going to stay on there, but to also have a explanation of why that happened. And lastly, when you think about co-signing with somebody, make sure you love them a lot, because co-signing, you know, it can get you in trouble, because Deanna can sign, I can go in and sign a loan with her, and then I can leave the country and never pay that loan again. Now she has the responsibility of paying that back. So it's things like that you got to understand when you get into co-signing. It's, do you really want to do this? Do you really trust this person and things like, because, you know, it's, things can happen, you know, when you're in a relationship, fights happen, and now it's like, oh, now you're responsible for this loan now. So really taking, you know, consideration and thinking like, man, should I do this co-signing? Should I really talk it over if you're going to have a co-signer on anything? Because if you're a co-signer, creditors are going to look at your credit report. They're going to look at whoever you're co-signing with, and they're going to still see, because one of you will get denied and no one will get approved now, or both of you will get approved. So it's really trying to see, you know, because when you apply as a co-signer, remember, you're dinging your credit too now. So it all ties back in. Yeah. As we get closer and closer to the end of our presentation, just want to give you a little bit more information, like at annualcreditreport.com. Highly recommend taking advantage of that report. You get a free one every year. It gives you everything about your behind the scenes of your credit. That's the best way for me to put it. You know, things that Credit Karma can't give you, things that the credit report on your credit cards can't give you. This gives you high, federal information here, and it gives you numbers that you can call based if something's confusing. And lastly, I recommend always be prepared for unexpected expenses. Like I said, this pandemic, caught everyone off guard, and I already know the finance was a big piece, losing jobs, huge. So always prepare yourself for an unexpected expense. You have the ability to determine and control your financial success. And it's all about how you manage your money, not how much you make. Everybody wants to be a Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, but trust me, they know how to manage their money, even though they have a lot of it. It's all about managing it, not about how much it is. And for you guys to have a face with the names here, these are the amazing branch managers, our consultants at the Canvas branch at CSU and the Laurie Student Center. So, stop in, see Colton, Craig, Beck, and Joanna. And, they'll definitely assist you on anything that you guys need. And we want to definitely thank the ACC department, CSU as well, for letting the Canvas family and myself give you guys this webinar today.
Thank you, George. And I have just a quick question on the slide. Do students need to have an account with Canvas Credit Union to come in for any questions if they don't have direct access maybe to their own bank that might not be on campus?
Yeah, so no, you do not have to have a account relationship with the Canvas family. We highly recommend, bringing your financial relationship over because, I always look at it as, wow, you guys have a branch on campus. So it's right there for you, free information, but you don't have to have any type of products with us. The beauty about the credit union is we love giving this financial information and giving it to the community because, we talk all the time down in, this information is needed and, it's pretty expensive when you go out and search for it to get it and you have to pay for it where you guys have it on campus for you. So take advantage of these wonderful members here that we have on the team and pick their brain. They're there for you guys.
Well, thank you, George, and thank you all for who are watching this pre-recording clip for the AAC. Like George said, it's a resource on campus. You have direct access to this clip recording at your own leisure. We're hoping to have Canvas Credit Union be a continuous resource for our students, and so you'll see them throughout the resources that we have at the Academic Advancement Center. And make sure that after you watch this clip to please complete your assessment form that is online. Don't forget to do that. That's how we are tracking who has completed their 2 clips. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, this is the information for folks at the Canvas Credit Union, and I believe George had his contact information in the first slide, and so you can refer back to that at the beginning of the, oh yeah, you can go back here. Yes, if you want to get connected. Yes, this is the information, like George said, they're located on campus. Are you all in person or are you all doing services online, George?
So our on-campus branch actually just opened, I want to say the second week of August.
Okay.
So they're there. I house out of the Boardwalk and JFK location in Fort Collins, but I'm like I said, if you want to give me a call and want to meet at the Laurie Student Center, I'm more than welcome to do that as well. We have offices in there as well that we can chat about anything you guys need for your finances as well.
Awesome. Thank you, George, again, and thank you all for watching.
Yeah, go Rams.